Commissioner Comerford,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Present.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Present.
Commissioner Sewell,
Present.
Commissioner Sims.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joby. Do we have any deletions, additions, or changes to the agenda this evening? No deletions, additions, or changes. I would like someone to move to adopt the agenda.
I'd like to adopt the agenda with no deletions, additions, or changes.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, sorry, Frank. We're going to do our roll call again.
Got it.
Yep. So, adoption of agenda, Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joby. Commissioners, in your packet are the minutes from the April 19th meeting. I need someone to make a motion to approve. If there's no questions, I need someone to make a motion to approve those.
I move to approve.
I second.
Okay, approving the minutes of our previous meeting. Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is citizen communications. Do we have any this evening?
None tonight.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Next, we've got presentations. Tonight will be about youth programs, Club Rec, summer preview, and preschool.
Awesome. So we're going to have Sarah and Angela come on up and they will give you a presentation.
All right, sorry for the suspense, everyone. It's going to be great. Let's see.
Pictures are the best part. Do we know how to turn this on? There's no buttons.
Test. Oh, yeah, it's on.
Thank you. Oh, cool.
No.
Sarah.
It should be just open. Up there. Yeah, that's the one that says slideshow. And then you can click it in.
We cannot click. Oh,
There it is.
bottom one. Hello, this is Angela, and I'm Sarah. Hi.
So to start off, we're going to be talking about our Club Rec after school program.
If it works. I think you have to do it because you don't have to.
So currently, we have 109 participants enrolled in the program, and we do not have a wait list. We were able to accommodate everyone from the wait list. And our average daily attendance is about 85. And here we have some pictures you can see highlighting the new playground that was installed last summer at the Brisbane Elementary School, which the kids are getting really good use of and they're loving so far. On the left, you can see a large group of kids that specifically asked to have a photo shoot so they could be featured on the City of Brisbane Parks and Rec Instagram page because they wanted to feel famous. And moving on, I want to talk about our Parents' Night Out programs. We had one in February of this year, which was a really popular one because it fell around Valentine's Day weekend. So it really gave parents a night off, the opportunity to take a night off, knowing that their children will be well taken care of by our recreation leaders. We also recently had one on April 15th, where we had about 28 kids in attendance. And we have one this weekend with a little bit lower of attendance because it is Mother's Day weekend. So a lot will be spending time with their families. And a typical night for Parents' Night Out involves dinner, a movie, and we typically try to involve some kind of activity. At our last one, we did balloon hovercrafts. In one of the pictures, you can see they're making window art with some tissue paper. And we also have dessert at every single one, and we try to make dessert part of an activity as well. You can see they made chocolate-covered strawberries, and on the right, you can see someone finishing their ice cream sundae, which was also fun. And moving on, I want to talk a little bit about our seasonal camps. We had our Thanksgiving camp, which we had about 40 kids in attendance. You can see that we had on the left-hand side, we made little marshmallow and toothpick buildings. So we gave the kids the liberty of building whatever they wanted as long as it was a structure that stood. We also made some turkey art. And winter camp, we had about 34 total between both weeks. And we made some snowflakes, some snow people, and we also decorated some bucket hats for winter camp. And spring camp, which just happened recently, for the first session, we had about 44 kids, and the second session, we had 40. And you can see the jump house, which was a huge hit. And we also made Peeps houses out of little Peeps marshmallows and graham crackers, which the kids really love to make and eat. And we made Minecraft shelters using PVC pipes when we had Challenge Island come out and do a demonstration with the kids. And they also built a cool tower out of magnets, which you can see them very proud of their work there. And we also had the egg hunt at the Brisbane pool, which the kids loved. There was nothing in the eggs, but they did get a treat when they got back to the modular for spring camp. And moving on, a preview of this summer. We have 80 participants enrolled in each session, and we have a total of 79 on the wait list, but that is a bulk number for every session. Each session breaking down is about 30 kids on the wait list for each individual session. And our site this year will be Littman Middle School, which is a much larger indoor space, which we will be able to utilize this summer. And it is also in closer proximity to the Brisbane pool, which is something that parents were asking for last year because it is a bit of a long walk from the elementary school up to the pool. And it also allows both the summer camp and the preschool program to be on the same site, which is easier for families who have children enrolled in both programs. And we also added an aftercare option for working families who wanted that extra hour between 5 and 6 p.m. So we are giving parents the option to sign up for that versus having the full day of camp being 8 to 6. So we have 8 to 5 normal camp day and 5 to 6 aftercare. And we will be having pool time 2 times a week and a field trip every Wednesday. And we also have a special event or demonstration coming out once a week. And Sarah will talk a little bit more about our leaders in training program this summer.
So we briefly talked about it before our last meeting with the YAC, but we had about 13 applicants last month, and as of April 28th, which is when our application deadline closed, we have 32. So that is the most we've ever had. We started our interviews Monday, so and we did a lot today as well. We have a few more left for next week. But we're trying to keep the limit of about 10 LITs per week of camp, so there's not more LITs than campers, just to keep the ratios pretty good. And we'll do our training the Saturday before the first day of camp, so they're prepped and ready to go. But it's been great meeting them and seeing some returning faces. We can move on to summer preschool. So last summer we had 3 2-week sessions, and we did some sandcastle making art. We went to the park. 1 week we went to Littman Gym actually, and they got to ride around on scooters. In the bottom picture there at the library, and our staff are reading books. This is the new like outdoor kids play area. And then this summer we will, like Angela said, we will be at Littman, so we'll be close to the larger camp. And when they go on field trips, we get to borrow their larger space. But it's excited to see all the kids again this summer, and we'll have a lot of fun. So our bigger preschool program is the school year. So we start in September and again go through the beginning of June. This year in the fall we had 18, in the winter we had 19 kids, and then now we have 20. So this week was actually Teacher Appreciation Week, and these are some of our wonderful teachers. You can see Miss Iris is on the, I don't know if it's left for you. And then Miss Marcella is our lead teacher in the middle, and then Miss Kiana on the side. They work so hard to make all these things extra special. So this Friday even they have, Mother's Day, like tea party. So they do lots of extra things. All 3 of them actually are bilingual, and so some of our kids come in only speaking Spanish. Some of our kids come in only speaking languages that none of us speak. And so they do teach in both Spanish and English. And then tomorrow, Miss Iris and Miss Marcella will be receiving a Professional Merit Award for California's Parks and Recreation Society for all of the work that they've done. And I think it's a very well-deserved awards. So just like some of our fun highlights, we do our Halloween parade at the park. This was probably our first, like, closest normal year that we've had since the pandemic. Thanksgiving, they actually got to make bread that they ate. I believe it's pumpkin bread. And then the winter performance was the first time we let families inside the classroom all at once. So it was very exciting. I think the parents were excited to see what it looks like, especially because the room is totally new since the last time they were allowed in. We also do our Lunar New Year Parade, which this year was made intergenerational. So we stopped at the Sunrise Room, and that bottom photo, you can see the seniors passing out red envelopes. They had little candies in them. And Miss Iris is the dragon. They get to wear all these amazing costumes. And then for Valentine's Day, we kind of did what the elementary school does, where they all bring each other treats, and you can see him on the right putting his little treats in the bags. Those bags were overflowing by the end. And then Read Across America Week, we had our seniors read to the preschoolers. And so you can see there's our senior rec leader, Teresa, and her father, Joe, reading a story to them. And then, so we also have the week after Read Across America Week was Community Helpers Week, where we had Randy from Public Works come and Officer Malone. So they showed off some of their equipment and talked about the things that they do for their jobs. They each read a story, and it's really cute to see these guys who do like kind of rugged work reading to little kids. Last week we had a teddy bear picnic where we had little plates and snacks laid out on the floor, and they all got to bring their teddy bears. It was very adorable. And then like I said, Friday we'll have our Mother's Day tea party. So excited to see what comes of that. And then our last two big things for the year are water play day and graduation. And we have little graduation gowns and caps for them. And the water play day will be in a couple weeks. Once hopefully it'll be a warm day. We just put out little pools and sprinklers, and it's a lot of fun. I think those are... Any questions about any of our stuff?
Never any shortage of good stuff from you guys. And Angela, parents' night out, really, it looks like kids' night out. Yeah. So I think great job, you guys. There's so much going on, and you guys are keeping it organized and keeping everybody engaged.
Thank you.
Who's the photographer?
Everybody.
It's really great. Thank you.
Yeah, how long are the seasonal camps? I think I just couldn't tell. Are they a week or a day or 4 weeks?
Yeah, so it's depending on pretty much the school calendar,
Okay.
the district calendar. So Thanksgiving camp is a 3-day camp. Winter camp is split into 2 weeks. The first one was a 3-day camp this year. The second one was a 5-day camp. And spring camp is 2 full weeks, so 2 5-day sessions.
And are they just organized around sounds like they're organized around times when parents need help. Is that-
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's also aligned with the district calendar. So on the days that the school is closed, we typically have camp.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm just curious what precipitated the move to Lippman and why this year? Was there anything special about the move? Or maybe I misunderstood what happened.
For summer camp,
Yeah.
you're inquiring?
Yes. Yes. you're correct.
It's primarily because there's construction that's going to be taking place at BES over the summer.
Okay.
And so just for improved safety of our participants and streamlined processes for those that are doing construction at BES, it just made more sense.
And the reason why I asked that, it actually sounds like a good move. And so would we go back to BES even though there's these advantages with Lippman?
This will kind of be a trial year for us, I think, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, there are certain opportunities and benefits to being at Lippman. Just the proximity to the pool is great because our campers go twice a week, and just the opportunities to utilize the gym and the tennis court. So it will be slightly different, but I think it affords other amenities. In years past, the district has utilized Lippman over the summer for some contracted camps and programs. They're not doing that this year, so it worked out for us to be able to be there. So we'll see how this year goes and then revisit the conversation for the future.
Okay, great. Thanks. I guess I do have one more question. I'm just curious. I was so impressed with how many applicants you got for they're called the LITs. Like, are there something in training? I know IT means training.
Leaders in training.
Leaders.
Yeah.
Thank you. So help me understand. Like, are they all from Brisbane or from where did they?
Most of them are. It's I haven't gotten their addresses yet, so I have their schools. And so like maybe a third, maybe a fourth of them go to school outside of Brisbane, but they could still be residents who just attend private schools. I think some of them they're from San Francisco. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Congratulations on having that many applicants. I think that speaks to a good quality program. So
Thank
good
you.
for you. Yeah. Thanks.
And
Yeah,
I just had one question.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Julie.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Thank you, first of all. This looks so fun. So just so many great activities. Just one question. I know you said, you got everyone on the waiting list. Are there any programs that you went over where we aren't able to accommodate everyone who wants to be there, or, where the waiting list is?
Yeah, so we are currently working out a plan. It's still in the works and nothing is confirmed yet, but we do want to explore accommodating all of those families. And our biggest barrier right now is transportation for field trips. So we are exploring different options about what we can do on that Wednesday for if we are not able to accommodate everyone to be able to use the transportation for field trips.
And that's for summer camps.
For summer camps, yeah.
And summer camps are the only places that you have a big waiting list. Is that true?
As of right now, yes. For our seasonal camps, usually as families start to finalize their plans, they start withdrawing from the program and most of the waitlist participants are able to get in. But our longest waitlist is summer camp.
Great, thank you, guys. One more question. For the seasonal camps, you said that they vary in the number of days. Are we still charging just the flat rate regardless of how many days the kids are in camp? No, there's a variable. The rate, go ahead.
It's a daily rate of
Okay.
$35 per day as of right now.
Got it, thank you. Any more questions? Thanks,
No, but I wanted to compliment the whole entire program. I don't want to be selfish, but I want to rave about it. So my 7-year-old and my 14-year-old love the programs, summer, lit. So continue on. It's great. And I think a lot of people have been hearing it word of mouth. So it's been coming, especially with lit. It's like 32 applicants. That's great. So great job.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, next on the agenda tonight is some old business, and it's the master fee schedule review and recommendations. It's my understanding, and staff will correct me if I'm wrong, that we are going to discuss the fee schedule and make recommendations to City Council on any adjustments that we think should be made.
That is correct. So I'm not going to go through the full extent of the staff report because much of it was discussed at our previous meeting. We did kind of leave it open-ended so that the commissioners could ask follow-up questions of staff to provide additional data and analysis. That has been provided in the staff report under the discussion item with some resource documents available in the attachments. The follow-up questions that we received were with regards to how many individuals currently receive financial assistance in our childcare programs. For preschool, that's 2, after school is 2, and seasonal camps is 5. So we do offer a fee waiver program that waives up to 50% of the fees. It's based on the honor system. We don't ask for any documentation to verify people's income level. For summer camps, we are able to offer full scholarships to individuals that requested assistance utilizing the funds from the San Mateo County Summer Enrichment Grant. And then we were asked whether other agencies offer similar forms of scholarship programs or fee waiver assistance programs. For the most part, the agencies that we compared childcare programs against, they do offer some level of financial assistance. Some of them do require documentation to verify low income status. So that fee assistance ranges anywhere from 50 to 100%. It just depends on the program. And then we received a question regarding how many residents and non-residents utilize our programs. So that's provided here for preschool. About 72% of our participants are residents. After school is about 92% Brisbane residents. Camps kind of range from 91, 84, 82%. So it just depends, but pretty high level of resident participation. And again, just a reminder to the commission that we do allow that priority registration period for residents. They have a 2-week buffer before we open it to non-residents. And then finally, someone had inquired regarding facilities and whether we cover the cost of providing rentals in offering facility rentals to the public. The quick answer is no, we don't. It's not full cost recovery. It hovers right around 40%. It's difficult to kind of quantify what that cost recovery would be based on the fact that it would incorporate, depreciation of equipment and assets, facility maintenance, staff time, custodial services, utilities. So we could do that level of analysis, not within the time that we had to provide the report, but just generally so that you have that level of understanding the cost recovery for facility rentals as far as picnic rentals, the use of the community center and Mission Blue are concerned, the cost recovery is right around 40%. So at this time, we're asking the commission to identify any fees for modification. Feel free to ask questions of staff, and then presumably the commission would have some dialogue and discussion about which fees there was a desire to modify, and identifying kind of prioritization of those fees so that they can be considered and proposed to City Council when they review the master fee schedule in June. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Noreen.
I do have one question that you might not be able to answer, but I'm just looking at the facility rental revenue. It may not be in the packet you gave us. It's from the last time we met. It's the fiscal years from 2017-18 and then 2018-2019. And I'm just curious, do we know, I understand why the 60,661 in 2018-2019 dropped a lot for the next 2 years. It's just because COVID. But then it went up almost double in 2021, 2022.
Yep.
And I was trying to figure out how come. Do you have a estimated idea on that?
Yeah, I think it's primarily attributed to the fact that a lot of people who had private party plans during COVID deferred their events until we were kind of out of the woodwork. But a lot of people also were having picnic rentals to be outside and to be able to host kind of large group gatherings in a safe space. So we've been inundated with picnic rentals, which we weren't pre-COVID. So we've seen an increase there, but also kind of the deferred private events in our facilities from COVID as well.
And then I'm just curious, are we hearing that along the peninsula that's other people are experiencing that?
I think
too?
so. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thanks very much for that. That was the one thing I was just having a hard time with.
I also think, in considering the fees, I think the thing I don't want to speak for everyone, but we want to avoid a sudden jump, right? So that everybody's kind of jarred, and do things in steps that make sense. So I guess the question I have is, where are we in terms of how tight are things? I will say the ones that I have been looking at and came up in the last discussion were the seasonal camps and the part-day preschool programs, just because comparatively they're quite low. And I think what we all want to avoid is a sudden jump in a year or two. So to kind of step appropriately. And I'm not articulating this very well, but I guess my question is, how close are we to really having to raise rates to cover what we need to do?
Well, I think that's subjective. So it's hard for me to say. The commission could certainly recommend to the council a phased implementation approach where you may recommend 2% increase this year for, an additional 2% next year so that it's not all at once and that it's more palatable for the public. And this is reviewed by council on an annual basis.
Yeah, and they generally propose a 2% increase. Okay.
Typically. Although they did elect last year to further review the park and rec facility rental rates, and they chose to increase those by 7%, is specifically for non-residents.
Yeah, I think the 2% probably that's like the inflation rate.
Yeah, cost of living, yeah.
Right.
So we're above that right now, but we're also, a lot of people are wishing that we weren't. And so I guess the other thing is, has it ever been, so there's certain things that I would love to not exceed 2% on. And I like this idea, but there's other things that I almost feel like are, disposable is not the right word, but optional. So a lot of times rental, like equipment rental and rental of space and that kind of thing is a little bit different than somebody going to camp. Like I'd be more inclined to raise some rates by 4% and others only by 2%, just because I feel like some are almost luxury items, whereas others are like peanut butter. Well, they can't say that anymore, but
We know what you mean. So I went over the facility, the fees for the facilities, and I thought that they seemed sort of reasonable where they're at, especially given, things like Mission Blue are primarily used by not-for-profits, and so we're not really collecting any money there anyhow. But I did take a look at some of the child care fees, and this may be an unpopular position, and I'm just throwing it out there because it's my thinking, and this is where I'm at. But we just received a presentation here from Sarah and Angela, and they indicated that they had between 30 and 70 kids on a waiting list to get into some of our seasonal camps. Our seasonal camp billing rate is the second lowest on the peninsula for all those other communities that we benchmarked. Again, the second lowest. And so in my thinking, it's currently approximately $196 a week. I think we should raise that by 10%. That's $20 a week. Bring that up to $216 for residents. Currently, it's $241 a week for non-residents. I would propose an increase of $36. That's 15%. Bring that up to $277 for non-residents. In doing that, we still remain the second most affordable for residents on the peninsula against those communities in which we benchmarked, and the third for non-residents, again, on the peninsula for those communities in which we benchmarked. So while those rates, I think, do seem a little bit significant in terms of an increase, overall, they allow us still to be a very competitive option. My thoughts, that is all.
I tend to agree with you, Frank. And I know at the last meeting, I expressed concern, and I still have this concern that for some families who are struggling, like $20 is a lot. And so the only caveat would be, and it sounds like we have that we have an honor system. If this is something you can't do, just to make it very clear that we still got you covered.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think if you're a family and you have means and you're able to, it helps us ensure that we maintain a quality program and serve more children.
And it also safeguards the general fund, which is subsidizing these programs at as high as 60%. So,
And through the chair, also, I guess Sarah and Angela mentioned with the waiting list, the bus, the field trip is the barrier to bring those kids in. So I guess like with that, would adding what Frank mentioned, like his thought, those recommendations, would that help bring?
In the future, yes, but not for this year because council would have to adopt the fees and then there's a 90-day waiting period before we can actually begin imposing them. So in future years, yes, it would help to offset those costs, but not for this summer specifically.
Thank you.
To what Natalie said about kind of luxury items, I'm noticing that there's a lot of extra fees for alcohol use for indoor events, and we don't charge for that for Mission Blue, but a lot of other ones do. I think that's like a luxury item. I think we should consider that for every event that has alcohol to kind of raise those rates. Because that comes with a significant probably cleanup and maybe security and or extra police, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not speaking for myself.
Through the chair, isn't part of the facility application, doesn't that include a part where if you do have alcohol, isn't there a section there or amplified music on the form? Isn't that already included as part of like the parks or the Mission Blue? Because I thought.
We do ask renters to denote if they intend to serve alcohol, but there's not like a surcharge for it in our facilities.
Okay. I don't think my microphone's working, is it?
It is.
Oh, it is. Okay, great. When you rent the facilities, does the city still ask you to insure your party yourself?
Yes.
So the city does
Yes.
not insure? Okay, just clarifying that. I do have a comment about our after-school program. I was kind of talking a little bit to a neighbor of mine who does have kids in Brisbane, and we were talking about how much it costs and what our demographics are in this town and how, you know, our town is not as working class as it used to be. It used to be really hard for people to make a, you know, a living as a plumber in town. And so everybody
No,
was.
it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't.
Well, oh yeah, as a plumber, yeah, hey. But I'm just saying that our demographics has gotten gentrified onto the upper end. This person still said that our after-school programs and our summer camp programs are still such a deal for our community, mostly because our community is a safe community for our kids. And just to have the option to have your kid in a program where they can walk home from school is so valuable to them that they would be willing to pay more. I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but I do think that this community is unique in the way that that our parents really value our programs. And I think that our fees should reflect that in us not being the second lowest in what we charge, mostly because some of these cities that charge less are much larger cities than ours. We're a small city and we have a much tighter budget. So I agree with what Frank was saying about some things really do need to come up with our large wait lists. I also think that our programs could have more enrichment for our kids, which I'd love, since we have kids that speak other languages, I would love to maybe see some languages coming in with some of the younger kids, which we've never had in Brisbane. I know it's hard, but just stretching ourselves a little bit more in our programs with more money would help do that. I also can't wait for our parents to come in here and give their 2 cents, because I think we need to hear from the public and we need to hear how this is going to affect families. And I would just encourage anyone who's got kids in these programs to come to these meetings and speak up and tell us what they think. Can they afford it? Would it be hugely hard on them or hard on their neighbors that maybe can't come and speak for themselves? I mean, what's the feeling out there? I called neighbors of mine who have kids to try and get a pulse, but I think that a little more outreach needs to be done to the parents so that maybe for our next phases that we go through this, so we hear from people who this directly affects.
We did send direct communication to all of the families that are currently enrolled in our childcare programs to let them know about tonight's meeting and its contents, so.
Okay,
That speaks to the affordability.
I think so. I don't see a big, well, I don't know. I can't speak for people who aren't here and interpret what that means. I don't want to pretend to do that. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. I think that we have a valuable asset in our program. And I think our parents really value it, and they understand that having a good budget means good programs. So.
Thank you, Lisa.
So I just have one more question, if that's okay. So I just want to make sure I understand how this budget works. So if we increase fees, it doesn't matter how. That's sort of one pool of money that gets distributed evenly across, or so for instance, if we only increase the childcare, does all that money go back into the childcare? And if we only increase facilities, does all that money go back only into facilities? Or can the facilities, an increase in facilities, support the childcare?
No, so the way that it works is the majority of, our entire budget relies on the general fund. We are not cost recovery. So we budget based on the expenses we anticipate for all of our programs and facilities, and anything we bring in for revenue, regardless of what program area or division it's in, just offsets our dependency on the general fund.
Thank you. That helps.
And then through the chair, if there is an increase in the seasonal caps, does that update or change any of the financial aid to that? Like, does that, no, it just keeps it the same? requirements? Okay.
I did have, through the chair, I did have one extra question about the rental fees. I know in the past, we've had some pretty big cleanups from some pretty big parties. And I was wondering if there's any kind of deposit that we can have for people who maybe don't clean up after themselves well enough and then cost the city more to clean up those spaces?
We do require deposits for indoor rentals. So community center deposit, I think, is $200, and Mission Blue deposit is $500. So all renters are required, and they sign off on a waiver indicating what's expected of them in terms of leaving the facility in the condition in which they found it in order to receive their refunded deposit. If there are damages to the facility or an excess of staff time that's required to clean as a result of their rental, then they are billed beyond their deposit. That doesn't happen that often, but in the past we have refused to return renters' deposits based on the condition of the facilities.
I'm kind of not talking about the facilities. I'm more talking about the park rentals.
Yeah.
So we don't have a deposit for park rentals. Except for the gazebo. If somebody rents the gazebo, we do have a deposit for that. A lot of the agencies in our county don't either. The challenge with that is specifically associating a mess in the park or trash in the park to one party because it is a public space. So unless you have a park attendant out there, it's really hard to saddle one particular group with the offense.
But didn't we talk about maybe monitoring some of the weekend parties a little more so that the mess wasn't sitting around, and maybe having staff work or maintenance staff work a little more on those cleanups and keeping track of that stuff?
Yeah, we do currently. We started that last year. So we have one of our facility attendants that works every other weekend. She alternates with the weekend on-call public works staff. So they do make rounds at the park. Jovi sends out our schedule of events and rentals that are at the park so that they know what's going on out there and they can kind of monitor, but they're not sitting there all day long every weekend day from, sun up to sundown. So to attribute a mess in the park to one particular group is challenging unless you have somebody really policing out there. So we are in discussion about hiring a part-time facility maintenance worker to support that. But we just don't have anything in place currently.
I think it's also a question, through the chair, I know we have that Brisbane app, and would that also be something that Public Works can have? Like if they post-party, post-event, they would be able to take a photo and say, here's what we left it as, and then here it is, right? And that's like kind of like a ticket, and then you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, that could be something that we require as part of our picnic rental policies is that, that they take a photo of their rented area upon their departure and send that to our team. I don't anticipate that's something that the Public Works Department would take on, but for us, that's certainly something that we could implement to try and hold people more accountable.
And that app is really, by the way, very user-friendly. So.
Yes.
I really like that idea.
Yeah.
That is a great
Yeah.
idea. We have the technology now. It used to be more kind of word of mouth, but we can actually depend on photos. Yeah.
That's time-stamped, right? Like when you submit and ticket and, right? Okay.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I have more unpopular ideas.
Go for it.
So guys, I was looking at the part day preschool program, and that is also well below market standard. I'd like to recommend a 10% increase for the residential rate. That would be from $441 to $485, or $44 a month, right around $10 a week. And that would make us the third most affordable option on the peninsula against the cities that we benchmarked against. And then I would propose a 15% increase for non-residents, taking the price from $609 to $700 per month, And that would, again, we would remain the second most affordable option. Regarding the after-school program comparison, I believe that we are priced just right at this time. The next thing I was looking at, I'm feeling passionate about is our aquatics. Our swim lessons right now are $9.13 for residents, and I think we should increase those to test demand to $14.13. That's a $5 increase. It also keeps us sort of on par with our neighboring communities. I did not visit the pools in all of our neighboring communities, but I did use Google Maps to take a look at the facilities, and our pool is a little bit smaller and our facilities are a little bit smaller, but our convenience factor remains very, very high. It's my understanding, and you guys will correct me if I'm wrong, but our pool parties, we sell out every single season without question. We're only charging $136.50 to rent out the pool for a pool party. I recommend we increase that to $175 an hour for residents, and for non-residents, same price, and that puts us right on par with what our neighboring communities are doing as well. I am done with my opinions.
I'll just say that it also really struck me that our preschool program was low compared to others and probably could be raised again, you know, looking at it, not wanting to put it out of reach for anyone. And so making sure we have people covered who can't afford that care. Pool parties, perhaps, like I agree with you, Frank, that we could look at it. Swim lessons, I'm really worried about because I think it's a public safety issue. And I think it behooves us and it's helpful in our community to have every child learn how to swim. So I'd be really concerned about that one. Maybe some lift to $10 because I see Pacifica and Daly City, but as a former lifeguard, I am a big fan of teaching kids to swim. It is one of those things that people don't understand. More kids drown than get injured in car accidents or any kind of other thing. And these are old statistics, so it could change, but it's just a safety issue in my mind.
And I guess to add to that, I'm also a believer of swim lessons and safety. It's like a first aid lifesaver. For Brisbane, does that, I know like you mentioned with resources, is that also dependent on how many lifeguards we have, like resources? Is that correct?
You mean in how many swim lessons we offer to the community? Yeah.
Which is that?
Yeah, we can only offer so many lessons in a designated time slot because we do have a smallish pool. And it is contingent upon staffing levels too.
And if we just, would we be able to decide to increase the amount of lessons then if we increase the hourly class? Like how does that, so that it's available to additional, I don't know. Like
I will say in the summer, we offer way more swim lessons than we do in the fall or the spring because we have more staff available. If we were to expand those offerings, it would encroach upon other dedicated uses of the pool, like lap swim times, recreational swim times, water aerobic times. So it becomes a challenge in trying to manage all of the various user groups during the summer because it's our peak use time. And then during the year, it's just strictly based on availability of staff to offer lessons. So we do experience kind of maxing out in our lessons in the spring and the fall. In the summer, we usually have availability to be able to accommodate everybody at some level.
Could we scale the pricing for the beginners? Because I love that safety factor. Like the entry level non-swimmer is extremely cheap, and then scale it up as the experience rises. Would that be a diplomatic compromise? As we're all politicians now.
Yeah. I like it.
That's a really interesting approach, Tom.
I guess also to add to that, Noreen, is there any like data behind that, like with entry level versus like how booked it is versus like level one or?
Our like 3 beginner levels are the most impacted classes. The more advanced levels tend to always have availability.
So would there be also options to scale back on those so that we can open up more to the level 1s or 2s or?
It's pretty scaled back as it is
it?
currently.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
the offerings for the higher level classes are pretty minimal. I think there's only like 1 or 2 per group because we don't reach maximum capacity for those classes, but we still need to offer them so that there's a progression of skills. But those lower level beginner classes tend to be the ones that fill up.
Through the chair, I'd like to also support the $10 fee, just because I think it's a little bit more, and it's also on par with Pacifica and Daly City. I have heard that our pool is great to use because we are one of the only outdoor pools. The indoor pools, for a lot of swimmers, are just not as nice. So I think we have a pretty great facility, and I'd like to see it at least $10, maybe a little more.
Through the chair, I also wanted to add for the pool parties and rentals, Frank mentioned I guess both resident and non-resident rates to be, equal? Do you see that a lot often throughout cities or not really? Like the same, offered the same? Just because I'm thinking like time, like when we register for a class for swim lessons or there's like a time frame, but for pool parties, there's not a time frame. It opens up for all, right? Residents and non-residents to book.
Correct.
So how would there be like a resident, like a perk or, like a 2-week notice or if we do put both rates?
Is the suggestion on the table to have the rate be the same for residents and non-residents?
Yeah, I was thinking that they
Oh.
would both be 175. It doesn't need to be that, but it's just purpose of discussion. So Natalie, I think what you're hearing is that we should increase the non-resident rate or give them some other perk for registration in advance, 2-week advance or something like that for
Just because
residents.
it fills up, yeah,
I think we should be consistent across the board. If we have resident rates, non-resident
Right.
rates, we should just be consistent.
I would prefer for residents to have a lower rate, partly because we pay through our taxes for the pool. But I agree that they could be raised. So maybe raising the resident rate to something like 150, which still puts us, right in the range. I think that we should be in non-resident moves to 180 so that we're supporting residents and kind of giving preference.
That seems to make sense.
I mean, could we increase both by the same percentage?
That's what we were just talking about. That would make more sense, I think.
Let's do
Just
that.
pick a percentage.
Well, I think it looks like we're going up about 20%,
Mhm.
right? Maybe 15? 137 to 175, is that? It's a little bit, it's around 15%. Yeah, so 15% for both?
I think 15 is too low. Get out the calculator.
I'm getting out the calculator right now.
And through the chair, Noreen, when we increase these, do we have to provide justifications for the city to, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Raising the resident rate 15% would bring us in at $157 per rental.
Okay.
I
That's
like
good.
that.
That's good. 15% is good then.
Okay. Non-resident at 15% is $199.
You should be on 199.
I'll take Tom's suggestion, $199.99.
Keep the penny.
I'm not sure if this is the place to bring this up, but this has always been an issue in town on really hot days when everybody wants to go to the pool and there's no room.
Yep.
And residents can't get in and people are lining up hours before the doors open. I would really like for residents to have first in the door privileges for a window, just a window. I'm not sure if they already do that. Do they already do that? No. Just because I've heard people complain about that for years. I can't go to the pool because I can't get in.
Right.
You know, so like we have a window for signups for childcare, if we could, on days over where it's projected to be over 80 degrees or 85 degrees, we open up for maybe an hour to let residents in first. And then whoever's in line after that. I don't know, that's my suggestion. Would there be a riot? What do you think?
Also, Noreen, to add to that, I know through the chair, I'm sorry. They do for lap swim, don't we book ahead of time?
We were
Or not
during
anymore, was
COVID, we
there-
were allowing lane reservations during COVID and we gave priority to residents, but we're not doing that anymore.
No, I'm just talking about those days when people are lining up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few challenges with that. And we can't predict what those days are going to be. And if we leave like a cushion for residents, say an hour as you've suggested, and we don't fill up and we have non-residents standing outside, we're leaving money on the table. And I think it's frustrating for non-residents to come and wait an hour because we won't really know how hot it's going to be. I will say we have tracked this over the last several years, and it happens fewer than 3 times a year. So less than 3 days on average. I think last summer it only happened once where we reached capacity and we had a wait list. And because the time frame for rec swim was long enough, everybody was eventually able to get in. So while we understand that it is a challenge and that residents are frustrated by it, when you look at like the entirety of the year and consider that we're only experiencing that maybe 1 to 2 or 3 days a year, I'm not sure how realistic it would be to implement a policy that would impact the users of the pool on a regular ongoing basis. But that's certainly something that we could bring back to the commission for further discussion.
Well, thanks for that information. I had no idea. It's just a perception. And I'm corrected. So thank you.
I think also through the chair to add to that, we did have a resident come in that had, I think it was like 2-3 years ago before COVID, that had a comment on that too.
Yep.
I don't know what date it was though.
Yep.
It's probably recorded. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disneyland is a great business model. Fast pass for the pool.
Ooh, I like that. Fast pass for the pool.
So I now understand we're building an app. Okay, so Noreen, just so I understand. So tonight, let's say consensus is reached here on things that, or whatever level we're going to increase prices. We tell you tonight, and then you present that to City Council at the next meeting? Okay.
I believe the master fee schedule is going to City Council June 15th.
Okay.
Excuse me, through the chair. So when we send our recommendations, when we come to consensus on our recommendations, can we add comments on why we came to these, or is that pretty self-evident?
So typically the justification for the increases would be incorporated into the staff report so that council has an opportunity to review. Yep.
I think this does need some clarification. I think if
Yep.
you just look at the numbers, it might not be what we've discussed. And I really want that to be clear. Never done this before.
And I think that we should call out that staff has done an excellent job benchmarking, providing us with all this data. It's making this job here much easier, I think. So thank you.
Yeah, I found that very illuminating and helpful. And I guess the question I have is, so it goes to City Council and then say they approve it, when would it actually take effect?
So when they adopt the master fee schedule, then I believe it's 90 days before it takes effect. It might be 60. I'll have to clarify and then get back to you. I don't want to incorrectly state that. But essentially, if it goes to them in June, the fees wouldn't take place until after summer anyways.
Yeah, I guess the thing I'm thinking about is just I want to give as much notice as possible, especially if fees are escalating. But also, to that end, my inclination is to go ahead and make these recommendations tonight so that we can give them to council, and then people hopefully are getting notice so that if they have concerns, they can attend that council meeting.
Yes.
That was a great, oh, go ahead.
I have one last thing I want to revisit, and that's still how much we're raising the facility prices. What did we record? Did we have the increase in prices on facilities? Did we make any recommendations on that at all?
No.
Yeah,
No, I don't think we came to consensus on facilities.
I think I'd just like to propose a 3% increase across the board.
And I proposed the alcohol tax.
Yeah,
Yes.
to surcharge Saturday night.
I would support both of those. I even wonder if the increase for the facilities, I don't know what COLA is this year, but maybe make it on par with that.
Yeah, I just chose 3 because it's above 2 and we're in a high inflation setting, but we're below the 5.6% that was reported this month. That's where I came up with 3.
And through the chair, I'm noticing the additional fees with the custodial fees with other, do we need something like that? With Mission Blue for the facilities?
We don't currently have a fee for that. That is something that came up as a topic of discussion at your retreat, was possibly incorporating a maintenance fee onto each rental that would help to support the ongoing maintenance cost of facilities. So if you wanted to propose that tonight, you could.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, should we just go line item by line item? Why don't we just start out with facilities? Let's talk specifically about facilities. Renee is proposing, we recommend a 3% increase across the board on facilities. Anybody feeling strongly against that? Anybody outside of Renee have feeling strongly for that?
I support.
I second.
Third.
I think it would be good as we go through these, just to make sure that we have an aye or a nay or a,
Oh, you want to do it that way?
I think it's just the cleanest to do it that way. So
And we're also doing this with the additional fees, or no, we're just keeping it like percentage wise? Okay, got it. Okay.
So for facilities, what I'm hearing is that 3% across the board increase. I don't know that we had closure on identifying an alcohol surcharge or a maintenance fee surcharge. So I kick that back over to you. If you want to
Okay,
incorporate those at
We're
this
just going to
time.
break these down and just start moving through them. Okay.
The rest of them are all right around $100 they average out to for alcohol.
Okay. Okay, so Jovi, maybe we're going to do like a little roll call kind of thing here. Okay, so what we're going to propose now, the recommendation is for a 3% increase in facility charges across the board.
Yes.
Commissioner Kern, aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sin.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, next up is, Tom, I don't know where you're seeing the liquor charge here.
I'm just looking at all the facility fees.
Oh, right
that
here.
Say
Oh, got it.
alcohol. They range from $111 to $65, so rounded it to about $100.
$100. And question for staff, do we allow liquor at Community Park, Mission Blue? I mean, is there any restrictions on that?
We allow it.
Okay. So Tom, are you recommending that we do that across the board, any place that we allow liquor to be consumed? There's a
Correct.
$100 fee?
I'm not sure about in the park. I just want to explore that, and if you have a small party and you have some wine and you get charged $100, I'm for it for Mission Blue, but I want to think about other, yeah.
I could, Noreen, through the chair, for the alcohol, what is the, I guess, the rules or jurisdictions around alcohol, permit maintenance?
So with any of our reservations, we require that the renters inform us and sign off on whether they're going to have alcohol at their event. They are not required to get a liquor license unless they intend to sell liquor.
Oh.
In which case they have to go and get like an ABC permit for liquor sales.
Could the alcohol be coupled into a janitorial cleanup kind of cost to supplement that?
Although not every renter serves alcohol, although every renter may be subject to a maintenance fee.
And Narif, through the chair, and that's regardless of how many people are at the park, like if the party is like 25, 50, 100. Okay.
Maybe that's the way you
head count
can list
or
it is how many people. So if it's a casual party, under 15 or 20, we're getting in the weeds, but
I'm not seeing, I'm probably looking at the wrong thing. In the outdoor facility comparison, do other cities charge for alcohol outdoors in parks?
Yeah, that's not data that we pulled.
I tend to think that the alcohol fee would be for an indoor event at our facilities, in that those tend to be more formal events, more weddings, more formal indoor parties, whereas the picnic tables are more casual, ice chest kind of parties. And I doubt that kind of your alcohol consumption, maybe it's the same, but I don't see it as being $100 fee for a picnic. But I could see it being $100 fee for indoor facility. But I do want to also try and bring forward that idea of picture taking for a janitorial extra cleanup if somebody has left a big mess in the park. I think that's an easy fix for that, because I've heard complaints about that. But anyway.
I think also through the chair, we had one corporate party at the park, and I thought that would be a benefit for that alcohol fee would be something like that, just because the larger of the recycling bins or whatever it is, I think like a bigger scale, something like that. And I think it would also depend on the scale again for the event. And as we can see, like in the park, there has been very creative events going on now. That's just because our park it's a nice park with a nice, centerpiece. So I think people have been having bigger parties lately from driving, on weekends. So I wouldn't mind actually adding an alcohol fee for parks, depending again on the size.
Thanks, Natalie. Tom, to your point, maybe we sort of capture this under a custodial fee.
one kind of leads the other. I feel like with a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of garbage and people not really caring about the facility. So that's what I'm trying to balance, kind of solve two problems. If you're going to have a party, maybe you're going to go somewhere else if it's too expensive and trash the place. So I was trying to, again, solve two problems. But I do agree with the smaller group parties that they should be just allowed to come in and have a drink. But the larger parties, I think, should be feed.
When people rent the outdoor facilities like the picnic areas, can you tell if it's going to be a big event versus a small event?
They're required on their application to denote how many people are attending. Yep.
Okay.
You also can't have more than 100 for a party in the park. Otherwise, we need council approval. And we don't often have picnic rentals during the week as well. That one-off that you're mentioning, where we had the business that rented, we don't normally do that, but we did go through the protocols with them for that.
So what do you consider a big party?
Anything more than 100 people requires city council approval.
No, I mean just in general in the park. 50 people, is that a big party? No.
Yeah. 50 is the maximum per picnic area.
Oh, okay.
So people have more than 50, they have to rent more than one picnic area.
Okay.
Through the chair, but now I believe when we talked about this last month, they would be able to get one area right now, right? They would book one area for all day. Is that right? It was like
It's
three
a daily
tables
rate, yes.
for 3 tables or whatever it
Right.
is now, right? Okay.
Right.
Which means how many people fit in that? Like usually, like what's the capacity again for each?
50 people
50?
per
It's just
picnic
50
area.
people. Got it, okay.
Okay. I just shut myself off. Okay, based upon this discussion, what if we did something along the lines of greater than 25 people and alcohol, $100 fee?
Greater than 25? I mean, I can be out. It doesn't feel right to me. I just think that parks especially, it's where people who don't have a lot of money go to have a party and don't have a backyard and don't have those things. And I think $100 may put that out of reach for some people. I'm not for that.
I'm not either.
Through the chair, I would propose 50. I mean, 50 is a lot, in my opinion.
50 people or $50?
No, 50 people.
Okay.
I don't,
That's only $2 a head.
oh, is it? Oh.
I'm just saying, it's not very expensive.
I think for indoor facilities, an alcohol fee makes sense. I don't think it makes sense for the outdoor picnic areas.
Yep, I agree.
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 Okay,
1, 2, I think that was 4.
that was 4.
So at this time, the commission's agreeing not to impose alcohol fees for picnic rentals.
For outdoor.
For any outdoor, but for
Okay.
indoor, we are.
Yeah.
For indoor, we're in agreement, it seems.
The outdoor.
Through the chair, can you remind us, like, when is, these fees are just an annual fee? So we can
Correct.
revisit this next year?
Yes.
Okay.
So for indoor, which is community center and Mission Blue,
Community Center and Mission Blue. By the way, how many not-for-profits are serving booze?
a lot of them.
A lot of them? Okay. Are they getting, would they be charged the fee?
Of course.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Right now, they pay nothing.
Yeah, they don't pay anything.
I mean, should we say if it's over 50 people and there's alcohol? So if you have, you rented a room and it's 10 team members and you want to have a pizza party with beer, you don't get the fee?
I like the 50-person cutoff.
I think it's a good place to start.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so more than 50 people at
Indoor
Mission
event.
Blue or Community Center are paying a flat rate of what for alcohol?
$100 fee. Or at least that's what we were tossing around. Okay.
Have a $2 cover fee. Just, right, we're back to the,
Yeah.
okay, just want to make sure we all agree.
Yeah. Well, if you have 100 people, it's only $1, so.
Well, which does beg the question, should it be more if you have over 100 people? Should it be 150? Again, we don't have to complicate things, but
I think this is a good place to start. Like, we haven't done this before. Let's just start and see what happens. I mean, you guys will be the first to hear if someone's like, that fee is ridiculous.
Jovi will.
In this, or Jovi, sorry, Jovi. Yeah, poor Jovi, I'm sorry. But in this day and age, if anyone has ever rented an Airbnb and has done so as of late, the amount of fees that are tacked on for cleaning and any just random amount of things, I think $100 for a party serving booze is extremely affordable and extremely reasonable. So,
And the $100
Yeah, I
isn't
agree.
just for having alcohol, it's
No.
for additional cleanup.
Yeah.
Which is going to happen.
yeah.
I agree. And in discussion during our retreat, we saw the hotel fees. So
Yes.
Should we vote on that one then?
I think we should.
Okay.
So I just want to clarify, since I'm going to be making the justification on the staff report to city council, that this is an alcohol surcharge fee plus a maintenance fee or damage, or just an alcohol surcharge
We're
fee.
just talking about the alcohol
Okay.
surcharge fees.
So this is $100 for more than 50 people of serving alcohol indoor facilities.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, with no further ado. Chairperson Curran,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Should we move on to
Yes.
the child care fee comparison or child fee schedule and start talking that through and make our recommendations there?
What I heard from previous conversation was a proposed increases to seasonal camps, 10% for residents, 15% for non-residents, increase for part-day preschool program, 10% for residents, 15% for non-residents, and no changes to the after-school program.
Right. For what?
Is your mic on?
Are we going to leave it the same or are we going to go up to 2% as recommended
On what?
On the after school.
on the after school?
Okay, I'm just making sure we're talking about that.
Yeah, so 3%, like we're going up with facilities.
Right.
I would support that.
Yeah.
Questions? Does city council just automatically just do the 2% or is that just what they've done historically? Okay.
They've done that in years past, but I don't know that that's their intent this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd support 3% on the one that but otherwise the 10 and 15 I'm good with.
The after school for 3%.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so the proposal, Noreen, is to, I believe you said, hold on one second. The seasonal camp, 10% per resident, 15% for non-resident. Part-day preschool program, 10% per resident, 15% for non-resident. And then a 3% increase for the after-school program. Jovi?
You got it. Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is aquatics. Commissioner Sims has completely changed my mind about the increase in swim lessons.
Through the chair, I would still like to bring it up to $10.
I agree.
We would just like to round up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what Pacifica and Daly City also charge. I think that's a good number.
Can I speak to the lifeguard?
Yeah.
How many entry levels are we into a safe environment for kids? How many lessons?
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, you usually have to do quite a few lessons. Like that first year when you start is the formative year where you learn not to panic and to not inhale water. So it usually takes a summer or, a 6-week course, I would say. So it would be $60.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess, yeah, through the chair, to that point, are there classes that have like a package like that, like 6 weeks?
Yes.
I mean, but they have the pass, right? Like, is it like a certificate to make sure that it's a safety reason to
Yeah.
ensure that they're, okay.
So the way that we, for example, structure our summer swim lessons, we have like a 6 or 8 week sessions if they come every Saturday for 6 or 8 weeks. We also have sessions that are like Monday through Thursday. So they're coming every single day for that session. So there's a couple of different formats just based on what their preference is for learning.
And the kids get a special band to go in the deep end, right? When they're,
We swim test the kids in order to qualify them for the deep end, yes.
And I guess with that level of like after 6 weeks, is there like a proven certificate that it's like, okay, this kid is really a legit swimmer?
Yeah, so they have to kind of complete a certain skill set in order to pass that level and move on to the next level. Sometimes that happens mid-session, and if we have room in the next class, our staff will bump the kids up into the next level if they're able to complete all of those core qualifications of that level.
What happens for the kids that don't, like, say, like a little bit slower?
They
learners, or
repeat the
they
same
do?
level.
Okay.
I didn't think, I don't know if we had consensus on swim lessons for non-residents. Do we have consensus on that?
I
'Cause
just
right now it's
I would propose to round it up to 12.
Yeah, like that. Okay.
Okay, I think we have consensus here. So the proposal is swim lessons will increase for resident from $9.13 to $10. That's fee per class. And for non-residents, it's going from $11.63 to $12.
Ready for roll call?
Yes.
Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
We are making good progress, people. Okay, I think we already came to consensus on this, but regarding pool parties, we said we were going to raise it for residents from $136.50, or the proposal is to raise it from $136.50 to $157 even, and for non-residents from $173 to $199.
And that was a 15% increase for both, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any other fees that we would like to discuss or make recommendations on this evening?
Through the chair, I guess is how you do it. Did we cover 3%, 2 or 3% on everything that's been listed?
Well, you said 3% on all the rentals.
Yep.
And then there was a 3% on the after-school program, and then the other individual fees that we called out.
Thank you.
Going once? Going twice? Okay, we're moving on. Okay, I've lost, in the amount of paperwork I hear, I've lost my agenda. Okay.
You asked for it.
Thank you, Natalie. Okay, moving on from old business to new business. We would like to discuss ideas for National Park and Recreation Month, which is July.
It is. So I'll quickly share the staff report. So since 1985, people in the United States have celebrated Park and Recreation Month in July to promote building strong, vibrant, and resilient communities through the power of parks and recreation, and to recognize the dedicated professionals that maintain our country's local, state, and community parks. This year's theme is Where Community Grows, which celebrates the vital role park and recreation professionals play in bringing people together, providing essential services, and fostering the growth of our communities. In years past, staff have developed daily, weekly activities, incorporating and highlighting the various recreational opportunities available to residents here in Brisbane. We've also aligned it with our concert series in the past. We've kind of added additional amenities to the summer concerts to kind of showcase Parks and Recreation Month. So at this point, we just wanted to open it up to the commission if you had any thoughts about this year's celebration or wanted to make recommendations to staff. Otherwise, we'll we always throw something together. Nicole mostly.
And we did start to mention this at, I believe, 2 of our last event subcommittee meetings. And so we have narrowed down a few items that we were discussing, like offering an intergenerational opportunity, the concerts in the park, the Teen Glow Night. So there are certain things that have already been recommended or suggested. So I just wanted to share a few of those, but any others are welcome. We have a number of dates still open.
Pickleball.
We are offering pickleball Tuesdays and Thursdays this summer over at Lippman because we do have the opportunity to be at Lippman for our summer program. We will have staff that are there that will be able to offer that. And so that's starting in June through August. There's only one date, which is 4th of July, I believe, that we are not running pickleball.
Excellent.
What time is pickleball again?
6 to 8:30.
6 to 8:30, thank you. Nicole, in the past, we had talked about doing something that was like very social media oriented, and where we would have different like photo op, backdrop, I don't know, different things placed throughout the community where someone could just take their phone, have a walk with their family, and then just start taking photos and dropping them into social media to get some good publicity. We did not Noreen, correct me if I'm wrong, we did not execute against that. It was just an idea that we bounced around a couple times, but I really like that.
Was that something that occurred during the pandemic as well? I feel like we did something similar.
I mean, a little bit with Smile Brisbane.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's also the idea, is that we're not trying to program every single day. So if there are opportunities that we can encourage going to community park or going to the trail, and if there's an element that they could bring with them to snap a photo with, that is also ideal. So we don't have something every single day.
Yes, which makes sense. You know, staff shouldn't have to work every single night of Park and Recs Month, right?
And through the chair, I know like we have a lot of departments that contribute to the Park and Rec. Could we also feature the different departments? I know like through social media. Is that what you're talking about? No, or just like families in general.
What do you mean departments?
Like different departments that support our Park and Rec programs. So like lifeguards or
Oh,
lit,
yeah, like program
or-
areas.
Yeah, program areas.
Yeah, absolutely. We could spotlight them on social media.
Yeah, I don't know why I had a brain fart, but I thought of national parks as being like national parks, like in the US.
Oh.
Sorry. I was like, wait. I was like, oh, we should have a National Geographic. Like, sorry.
I'm not sure if this is something that we were going to do with the events committee, but if we could do a chalk painting in the gazebo on the, I'd certainly be willing to hold a workshop on that. I used to do that professionally.
Yes, I believe.
Is that on there?
We had, I believe it was the 26th that we had potentially a color in the park or a chalk or paint. So if that still works for you, but yes,
That's the
sounds
26th
great.
of July?
Yes, Wednesday.
Oh, that's 2022. I'm looking at the old program. No wonder it's not on there. Okay, yeah, just. throw that-
Sign you up.
Yeah, throw that my way when you need help.
Great. Do we have any kind of walk? So, over in San Bruno Mountain, there's that walk that's all the different planets. Does anyone? Yeah. Do we have a walk scheduled for that? I think actually it would be cool if anyone would, I'd even probably be open to leading this if I have time to educate myself. But on a full moon night, that would be so fun.
I think they closed the gates at sunset, but you'd have
Oh,
to
that's right.
pull some strings.
Yeah.
People, I think.
If we could, I think that'd be really cool.
I've done a full moon hike on the mountain
Yeah.
before. It was informal, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I love that idea. And, we wouldn't have to go inside if we went up the mountain and just kind of looped around the fire road. I don't know if that's against the rules, so
You could
not
just go around the
suggesting that
fence
we
or
break
climb
the
it.
rules, but
That's what I would do.
I just hiked up the fire road.
Just climb it.
Yeah, on the mountain.
No, not the mountain, the fence.
Oh.
That's what we do.
Like
have
something
them
like
open it
a,
up for a full moon
like a
night.
full moon or hell at the moon night or whatever.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I have a history of this, so, but anyway, yeah. If we can do that, that'd be great.
We can explore the feasibility of
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Other ideas? I think that's all we've got.
It's a good list.
That's helpful. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Next item under new business is selecting the locations for our offsite June facilities tour.
Yeah, so every year we dedicate the June meeting, it's lighter later, so it's more realistic to get out and see facilities, especially outdoor facilities during this time frame. In the past, we've visited Mission Blue Field, Mission Blue Center, Community Center, Old Library, New Library, Pool. So at this point, just looking for kind of suggestions from the commission about what facilities you'd like to visit for our offsite June meeting. We won't have a meeting here like this in this format. We'll hop in the Park and Rec van and take a field trip based on your suggestions.
Through the chair, how many can we do in your experience with the van and the speedy driver?
Typically, we do 2 or 3.
I think last year we went across the way. Have they made any progress on that site?
Sierra Point?
Yeah.
Well, the master planning effort is underway, and that goes back before city council next week.
Okay.
Yep.
For those of you that didn't get to go, it was a really kind of a pretty cool tour. But yeah, I don't know if we want to repeat something so soon after, if there's been no change.
As usual, I think Mission Blue needs a lot of attention. But I feel like we've done that, so I don't know what new would come to light, except that maybe we could get a bullet, a list of things going that we really want to prioritize. That, and of course, the community center, which I believe the community center is under review right now. Is that true? Yeah, so. Oh, I just thought of one. How about Bank of America? Can we look at that or no? No, that's not
It's
us.
not a park and recreation
That's
facility,
not us. Got
so it doesn't fall under your purview.
Yeah.
Thought you were getting that, Noreen.
They took the money out.
That's news to me.
We have an ATM machine.
Facilities in general, but that's not us.
So last time we did the tour, to Renee's point, we did Mission Blue, and I think we got a good flavor. Nothing has changed there. We were just there for LUNAFEST. We did Community Center. Might not hurt to go back to Community Center one more time since that is in front of council at this point, or they're starting to think about doing some sort of project there in terms of getting a consultant in. It's been quite a while since I've seen the pool. I wouldn't mind going to see the pool. Oh, okay.
Through the chair, will the assessment for the old center be done by then?
No.
No, okay.
I like the pool idea.
Okay.
Pool.
Has there been a visit yet with the old library with this group?
Yes.
There has, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Is there any interest in going to see Lipman Gym?
Yes, please.
That one
Yeah?
apart? Yeah.
Since we're going to be utilizing it this summer and kind of, we could talk through the logistics of our agreement with the school district and
Yeah.
maybe
let's do-
how we can utilize that space.
Pool and Lippman are right next to each other.
We can walk the field too, Tom. Yeah.
That'd be great. Are we allowed to bring spokespeople for the field repair and the tennis court coach, Joe?
I don't know that this would be the time to do that, but we could discuss
Okay,
accommodating that in the future.
copy.
I mean, I guess, speaking of the tennis court, is that also where pickleball is set up? Is there?
Well, pickleball this summer will take place inside Lipman Gym, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Even a bigger argument for going to, I got to see where I'm going to beat everybody. No.
What else? Sunrise room? Sunrise room?
Oh, sunrise.
Sunrise room or dog park. We just had maintenance done at the dog park. or Community Park or Firth Park or any of the trails?
I think
Yeah,
Firth Park.
I
Huh?
like Firth Park.
Firth Park is kind of
Yeah.
a mess. I'd
No.
like to see it.
I'm sorry, can you say
Keep
that?
hearing that Firth Park is a mess.
Firth, okay.
That's good. The post-flood areas might be interesting.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crocker Trail looks good now.
Okay, so Noreen, I'm hearing Firth Park, community pool, the gym at Lippman, the field at Lippman, tennis courts at Lippman,
Okay,
and then I guess Sunrise Room, and the community center.
we're going to be out all night.
Okay, so folks, we have to narrow this down to 3.
I think the Sunrise Room is pretty okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
there's nothing to see too.
Firth Park.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is Firth Park, pool,
Lippman,
and Lippman.
okay,
Yep.
great.
Okay, any other comments on facilities?
What's the date and time for that?
June 14th. So everyone will meet here at City Hall at 6:30 and then we'll depart from here.
6:25 if you want to see the dog park.
Yeah, there you go.
Smart.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no more discussion on that, we'll move on to reports. Chairperson, I do not have anything to report this evening. Moving on to subcommittees, first of all, starting with the Public Art Advisory Subcommittee meeting that was held on May 1st.
Well, I was at that, as was Tom. I'll just give a brief rundown.
Lisa, is your mic on? Or could you move a little
I
closer?
think it is. Can you
Okay.
hear me? I don't know. Okay. We had the first thing we did was we received a presentation from Phase 3 regarding a proposed private art installation. And they called in, did a Zoom call. We met the artists. We looked at the art. It was an interesting exercise because we hadn't had anything proposed before this committee. And, taking into account that this is a company that's buying their own art and we really don't have, I didn't feel like we had say-so over what they were doing, but it was nice to be included in looking at what they were proposing.
I think they listened to our ideas and it was very interesting. It was. I did not know that we didn't have a stake in it until just now. Is that true? We don't have a decision in it?
Oh, yeah, we do. I mean,
Yeah.
we can put our 2 cents in, but I think that the consensus was that is somebody's bringing us art that they feel strongly about, that they want to purchase. I don't know unless it's whatever reason we can really put our foot down and say, no, you can't do that. But within the reasonable guidelines of what our committee is doing, I felt like giving it consideration and giving our opinions and guidance as to what maybe the city would like to see there as a public space. I think we did that in our meeting.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Then we had a quarter public art fund report, which just gave us the dollar amount that was in the account. Do you have that written down?
1.85 million
Right.
and rising.
Yeah. Then we had a final RFP review with process schedule before the recommended council, and Noreen shared that.
And that goes to council next week.
Okay, then we had the art implementation guideline review, which was an old document that many of us had not seen before, and that was very enlightening. It kind of just outlined what was and was not in our purview as an art council. And so that was interesting. We went through that. And then we revisited what we called low-hanging fruit project or small-scale projects that we might want to propose in the future. And that was a very lively conversation. We came up with some there were some pretty interesting ideas that people had in their back pockets that I thought were pretty exciting. And lots of things that could involve art and also involve the public, which I thought were really fun. Some of those ideas were, let me see. Well, let me see. I remember one was what they called a pushpin show, which was a day in the life of Brisbane, which was a kind of a public participation, informal art show that could possibly happen. And we all thought that was a pretty fun idea. Exhibit space, decorative art, Firth Park, film festival, surprise art around town, having benches around town that were commissioned. Anyways, several other ideas. Those are just little notes that I meant. Did you have any more, Tom, that you could think of?
You nailed it.
And that's it.
Thank you for the update. Next subcommittee would be the LUNAFEST subcommittee meeting. We were held on 4/20, 5/1, and then the actual LUNAFEST last weekend.
What a great event.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was a shame that the Warriors were on the same night, but it still was I'm still kind of inspired by what we saw. I thought it was really well produced. Madison sent me an email this morning or this afternoon saying it was $34,000 was raised. And I gave him-
34,650, which was our highest year yet.
And hats off to her and all her hard work. Unfortunately, it will be the last LUNAFEST. The new CEO will not be honoring LUNAFEST anymore. So Cliff Barr I'm going to turn my mic off. Anywho, but hopefully we can spend that, copy and paste, rinse and repeat for something for the children to do maybe a morning festival and then maybe an adult festival in the evening and learn from Madison and carry that tradition forward and continue to raise money for the same charities.
Why,
I love the event.
why aren't we having it anymore?
Cliff Bar was sold.
The company that put on the film festival was sold, and the new
Oh.
owners
But
don't
the
wanna
whole company
continue
was
the
sold.
film.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
So send your letters to the new owner of Cliff.
I also want to give kudos to Noreen and Nicole for being there. The event was so different from last year, and I think it's been a step up. And then unfortunately, it's last year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You guys did a great job. Kudos to Madison for scoring and all those sponsorships, which was just great. And yeah, I feel like this year's experience was definitely an elevated experience over prior years. I've only been to 3, but it was really, really nice.
Really good.
Yeah.
Right, very emotional.
Had we had the bleachers before?
Yes.
Okay. I just hadn't seen them before. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. And kudos to my staff behind the scenes that don't get thank you for setting up the bleachers.
yeah.
Ricardo and Jeff are manhandling that thing, making it all possible, and it's not an easy feat. So I had to interject that.
Yeah, I will say, I was impressed with it because I was on a table, like on the, and it was super solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had guests come in that provided the chocolate, and they continue to email me about how impressed they were with our little town. They're from Dogpatch, San Francisco, and they're talking about, why don't we have something like this in Dogpatch? This is amazing that our town was able to pull it off. So, well done.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for making it a community event,
Yeah.
and building on what we've already done, and I'm excited to see what comes of it.
No pressure.
So I guess to the chair, Noreen, for that LUNAFEST, so subcommittees, we will no longer have subcommittees. Is that correct? Or would that be replaced by another committee?
So that subcommittee is the events subcommittee,
Okay,
correct?
got it.
So that will still stand, but it won't be discussing LUNAFEST
Okay.
specifically.
So we can like nominate Tom for all of his like,
Brisbane Fest.
I'm with Tom, though. I had a San Francisco guest who was also so impressed with our town and the situation. And also, I just wanted to say the chocolate, the wine, Frank, that your
The lemon drop.
the lemon drops, like it was very special. The films were great. And I do hope we continue that tradition with some films from the community.
Plus, I gotta say, the money raised for the kids in town is just phenomenal. I mean, if you have kids in college and they get that scholarship, it really, really helps.
The grand total over the last 5 years of hosting LUNAFEST is $159,000 direct to Brisbane students for scholarships.
That's a lot of scholarship
Yeah.
funding right there.
Yeah.
Should we shout out to the Lions Club as well?
Yeah, the
Yes.
Lions, of course.
Amazing.
Okay. LUNAFEST, that's a hard one to top, Lisa. Okay, we had our event subcommittee on 4/24. We're supposed to be having one this Monday. I think we need to reschedule. Do you want to talk about the Secret Garden Tour?
Yeah, so one of our events coming up the closest is the Secret Garden Tour, which is, I believe, the soonest coming up. And it is on June 10th. It is a brand-new event that we're trying out, and of course, it's taking a lot of planning. And that's what we're doing. We're working on it. So we worked on the graphics. We worked on a marketing plan. We worked on just the way we're going to put it together. And it's just a lot of moving parts. But I hope that it's a really great event. It's also a fundraiser for the Lions Club. So there you go. There was also a discussion of some other events. All of the events that we had for I'm sorry, I lost that piece of paper. It was for all the activities that were happening in July, right? All those activities, we kind of went over those. And just came up with ideas, new ideas, pushing forward. So that was about it.
Tom, anything to add?
No, good.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. That was great. Recreational facilities subcommittee meeting was held on 4/27.
I could speak to that. Thanks, Noreen, for sending the notes. So Tom, Noreen, Frank, and I met on April 27th. So we followed up on the fitness station brought to by one of those by the resident. I forgot his name.
James Frisk.
Yes. We discussed the pros and cons of that fitness station versus the trail clusters. We also reviewed examples of the installations in other communities. A couple of our comments were regarding the distracting from the existing community park by placing a prefab fitness station in the location. There was also a suggestion with one possible station at the park with another station at the entrance to Quarry Trail, with signage that would direct users to other stations along the Crockers Trail. We also discussed the next steps for implementation to align with the Crocker Trail resurfacing project, and then staff provided an update regarding that timeline. There needs to be an environmental review that needs to be conducted before that implementation along the trail can occur. Strategizing around funding needs to occur since there currently is none allocated. We also had a discussion regarding the future of Littman Field and whether there may be an opportunity to approach that to our district. We already had we also discussed the dog park maintenance, which was, I believe that was this week, right? Last week. We also discussed status on the old library and the community center. Noreen provided an update that those will be looked at by the City Council Infrastructure Subcommittee. And then one last point. We already made, so we also had discussion on the facilities, which we did earlier today on the facilities tour in June. And then that's about it. Thanks, Noreen.
I don't have anything else to add. Thank you, Natalie.
So I just have one question on, I know, so I'm a big proponent of this gym along the trails thing. I mean, and so I know we don't have funds for this. So if we help us understand, if we're just as a citizen, if we're interested in something like that, what are things that we should do? Or what have you seen help?
I mean, at this point, the conversation that we had with the facilities subcommittee was that the Public Works Department is pursuing the resurfacing of the trail. There is federal funding that was allocated for that, with supplemental funding that was approved by the City Council. They are working on the award of contract, and that work is projected to take place in the next fiscal year. That's kind of the first step to improving Crocker Trail. As far as implementing other elements of the master plan, because we don't have funding dedicated, the first step is the CEQA analysis process, where we can do the environmental review with an understanding of what the impacts will be to the surrounding environment. Once we have that, we can move forward with soliciting alternative funding in the forms of grants or bonds. But we're a ways off from that at this point.
Okay, thank you. Just needed to understand
Yep.
where I can and can't push.
Yeah.
And through the chair, Noreen, I know like there was something similar to like the volleyball courts. Those were actually like added, right? Because they were sponsored by a resident.
Yeah, so that was publicly owned land, and we were approached by a private volleyball club who offered to pay for the full cost of renovating and installing and construction of those courts. So they entered into an agreement with the city to fully fund that. If we have anybody that's a private donor that wants to offer to fully fund, we're certainly open to having those conversations, but those are rare. That it just worked out well for us. And so that private club has some priority use agreements with us in exchange for their fully funding of implementing that recreational amenity.
Thanks.
I think it goes without saying that we need more of those. Okay, moving on, setting the next subcommittee meetings. I know for a fact that we have events committee meeting on Monday. 2 of us cannot be there. We need to reschedule.
Oh, really?
Should we do that right now?
That would be good.
Okay.
Should always put it in.
And Lisa, how are we looking here?
Well, this next week is kind of a mess. I will be out of town till Wednesday, but then I'm back on the 18th. But I'm pretty open the week of the 22nd, and I think we need to meet on the week of the 22nd. That's pretty much.
Yeah, because we're getting pretty close to the event here. How is the 24th or 25th for you guys?
Both open for me.
24th's better than 2/5. It's 22nd, I'd just move it a week to the Monday. Is Mondays out for you?
Yeah, Monday's out for me.
All the Mondays. Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
24th works for me.
24?
Yeah.
4:30? 4:30?
4:30 can work for me, Lisa.
Yeah, we'll double check with Sarah. She's not here, but we can move forward with that date on the
Okay.
24th.
Thank you. I don't think we need a recreational facilities meeting since the next meeting will be about recreational facilities.
Well, I'm sorry, Frank, what was the time for the event?
4:30.
4:30, thank you.
Any other subcommittees?
The Public Art Committee is scheduled to meet on June 26th. That's already been scheduled. And Nicole and I were just talking over here that we think it might be timely for the Day in the Park Subcommittee to convene as we start to look towards planning for that event. Unfortunately, we don't have the subcommittee roster in your packets this evening, so I apologize. But Jovi can send an email to those subcommittee members to try and schedule a meeting with staff.
I actually
Go-
happen to have it.
Oh,
I have it here too.
Great.
Yeah, so it's me and Lisa and Natalie.
Renee, Lisa, and Natalie.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's
David.
great.
I'm free next week. I'll defer to you and Lisa.
Do we need a concerts in the park meeting? Or can it wait until next month?
I mean, the series starts in July, but we have the bands and we're still securing sponsorship. I mean, if you'd like to, we could, but there's not really much of an update besides we do need more assistance with sponsorship. We're about halfway there.
Okay, well, I'll talk with you about the sponsorship. And yeah,
That would be great.
happy to help with that. Thank you.
Did we want to schedule the Day in the Park? Yeah, since we have 3 things. So Lisa, you're the one I maybe got the toughest schedule right now.
Yeah, but I'm looking into the future, and I believe that after the 18th, I should be okay.
Okay.
Even if it was early June, I think that would be fine too.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Early June's wide open.
So early June, I could meet through Zoom. I'm going to be out of town, but I can call in.
How does the 6th look? Tuesday the 6th?
That's fine by me.
Time preference?
Let me just check here. I think I'm back that day. Yeah, the 6th, we said? Yeah, should be fine.
Like a 4:30 time or earlier,
It's
later?
4:30 works.
Yep, as well.
Okay, 4:30.
Okay, I think we're set on subcommittee meetings. Additional reports from any commissioners? No reports?
Wait.
Trudy.
I attended a class today with Yak at the Sunrise Room because my IT person got her driver's license and a boyfriend, so I don't get to get her on call anymore. My granddaughter. I had the neatest gal, and now I've talked 2 other friends into going next week. But it is a fabulous program, and we need to advertise it more. I have so many friends that are my age and younger, and it's like, I don't know how to do that. Well, I'll show you. Oh, no, I better not. And so I got 2 more people. I said, you're not going to tell me you can't text anymore. It's the easiest thing in the world. But this gal gave me so many clues on my iPhone, and I always think, oh, I'm on top of everything. We never are. Those kids are so fast. They know it. I mean, she's 8th grade. She's like, now, do you understand that? That is a wonderful program, and she was a sweet gal. We had a long talk. She's an 8th grader in Lippman. So she goes, what was it like when you went to school there? I said, it's exactly the same, trust me, except for the modules. I said, other than that, it's exactly the same. Then she talked about Brisbane Elementary. These kids are so cool. And there was 2 other people there. One had a laptop and somebody else had a phone like me. And I said, I'm coming back next week with my iPad because there's things I still want to learn on that. I just want to say, what a wonderful program. And it needs to really be pushed at the senior meetings. Really, and any place else, because it's just a wonderful program. And these kids are so cool. Yeah, I like kids anyway, but especially teenagers. But they were just, she was just so sweet. Like, oh, thank you. I was sitting here by myself. And I said, oh, no.
How many kids were there?
There was 4.
Wow.
And
And
that,
they're individual. They sit with you
Yeah.
individually because my friends thought, oh, I don't want to sit and listen to this. I said, this is not what it's like. They sit with you individually. And you end up forming a relationship with them immediately
That's
because
so
they're just
awesome.
so cool kids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just wanted to shout that out.
thank you for attending. That's great. We
Do.
appreciate that. And it might not be for every week, but we do guarantee at least one that will be there. And so that's why we are trying to market that out. That is a program that came out of feedback from the cafe age-friendly initiative of people wanting more than just the Get Appy program, which we do have monthly as well. And so, heard that and they listen, but it might be one that we maybe only have one or two each week, but definitely help us pass it along. But we do make the announcement weekly at the lunches for the seniors to
Yeah,
remind them.
because the people I talked to, one had heard it, one hadn't. And she goes every week, but she goes, I promise I'll go next week. I said, yeah, because I'm going to come and get you.
I wonder if we want to do an article for one of the publications in the city.
Yes.
About that, maybe profiling you and this girl. It's just such
Uh-huh.
a great,
It was
wonderful
story. I mean, it
get
really was. It filled my heart,
Yeah.
actually. I know it sounds silly, but it did. I like it when kids participate.
Yeah, we've promoted in the blast, but I appreciate the suggestion in a publication. I think Nicole made a notation to include it in the next available star. Yeah, that would be great.
Sure, I have no problem with that.
Thank you so much for that feedback.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, thank you for the most enthusiastic commissioner report ever.
That's
Well done.
Sorry, I like
Yeah,
stuff.
loved it. Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, moving on to staff.
So we did mention LUNAFEST, how great that was. A plug for Fall Club Rec and preschool registration opening Tuesday, June 13th at 9 a.m. And that has already been sent out through the school. We do have a large A-frame and it's been in the blast, but we will continue to promote it as well. But spots do fill up quickly for both of those programs. With that leads us into summer camp is coming and summer staff training is the week of June 20th. So we will have all of our part-time staff, lifeguards, as well as our recreation leaders. So the pool that week is closed to the public. However, the staff are there working on their skills and training. We bring in a provider, do all training that does a number of different annual trainings for our staff, as well as individual program area based training. Camps and swim lessons then start up the following week, June 26th. We already mentioned the drop-in pickleball this summer, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 to 8:30 p.m. And there is a $5 drop-in fee for that program.
I would recommend raising that.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
That's $5 I've ever.
No cards.
And then just segueing into upcoming events, and it is currently May, is a number of different themed months, including Mental Health Month, National Water Safety Month is one of them as well. And we are showcasing our lifeguards on our social media pages, asking them what their safety tips and tricks are, as well as we will be highlighting a day or two this summer where we will have ice cream stickers and coloring sheets available at the pool over the weekend. So that'll be promoted here shortly. The Parents' Night Out is this weekend. There are a few limited spaces, although it is a smaller number. We do still have a few additional spaces there. Next Wednesday, we have a senior trip walking the Golden Gate Bridge and having lunch in the Presidio. We do have a few remaining spots available for that. However, we are asking that the community signs up by the end of this week to be able to secure all the final information. Also, next Thursday is the Bike to Work Day. That is 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And we will have a booth at the corner of Tunnel and Lagoon. And we are there. I'm excited. I will be there to check it out and see what's going on. But passing out bananas, and it's a pretty hot spot, I hear, of people coming and going. And it's not one that you sit and you mingle. You just pass and you go.
but it's pretty cool from what I hear.
It's the second most trafficked Energizer station on Bike to Work Day throughout the county. The only one that beats us is Mountain View, and I think it's just because of Google. But we get a lot of people from San Francisco coming through Brisbane to get to work, so it's a busy station.
And then the 20th and the 21st, you should check out BDW spring performances of James, Jamie, and the Giant Peach. And you can get tickets on Brisbane Dance Workshop. That'll be over at Mission Blue. And the risers are still set up because we will have those for that event. Coming in on June 19th is our preschool graduation. So that little photo that you saw of them in their cap and gown will take place again. And that is over at Mission Blue. It's not an open event, but just so you know that that's going on. And then a final plug for our garden tour, our secret garden tour, which we do have 10 gardens and then the community garden, which technically is 11, I believe, but 10 homes. And that is 10 to 2 p.m. As we mentioned, June 10th. Tickets are $20 for adults and 10 for seniors, but that is a recommended donation for the Lions Club. And we do have signups that are available now. And I don't have a report on what our signups are looking like, but we can report back on that. But it is open now. And then a final plug for call for sponsors for Concerts in the Park series. So if you have anyone that might be interested, let us know and we can put that in motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up are commission matters. Do we have any written communications?
We do not.
Okay. We'll go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:37 p.m., knowing that the next meeting will be on June 14th, 2023, and we'll be offsite. So adjourning here at 8:37 p.m.
Thanks, Frank. You're born to do this, man.
I'm hungry.